Donald Trump Jr. tonight saying, in retrospect, he probably would have done things a little differently when it comes to that Russia meeting. But how are Republicans reacting? Let's discuss now. Senior political commentators Stewart and Scott Jennings are here, and 2016 independent presidential candidate Evan McMullin. So glad to have all of you on. Scott, it's hard to overstate how stunning this email chain is. I want you to look at this. This is editorial from the New York Post, and they write in part, we see one truly solid takeaway from the story of the day. Donald Trump Jr. is an idiot. This is the New York Post, which has been very kind and very friendly to the Trump folks. What's your reaction?
Well, it was a stupid meeting to take, and I'm sure in retrospect he wishes he hadn't have taken it. I think the president could take a few steps to get control of this. One is, it is time for him to make a strong statement that he understands and acknowledges that there was Russian meddling in the election. Number two, I think he needs to reaffirm that he agrees with the transparency pledges that his family and staff have made. They've all said they would talk to investigators. If he were to take a couple of those kinds of steps tomorrow or this week, that would make a strong statement that the White House is taking all this seriously, and we'll see if they do it.
Evan, what do you think of the response from Republicans today? Are you happy with it or no?
No, I'm not happy with it. I think the Republicans have got to do more. They've got to show leadership. I'm talking about Republican leaders specifically, but Donald Trump is playing a 35% game. He wants to protect his base, protect his core support. As long as he does that by throwing them red meat on policy issues, which he continues to do, then he'll have protection in the House. I think this is a bit different, though, in the long term, because these emails are so egregious, they portray activity that's so egregious, that I think it harms Donald Trump's ability to continue saying that the investigation, the Russia issue, is a hoax. And if he can't say that or things like that, then I think it impairs his ability to continue to have his base think that there's nothing to this. So I think over time this has an effect.
And also to get anything done in Washington, I've heard from people who have been saying that to me all day, if this continues on, and this certainly does hurt that. So Alice, you've supported President Trump all along, and I respect you for that, and you're a straight shooter, but at what point does it become too much for you when you look at this? Is this a bridge too far or what?
Well, this is yet another chip away at the credibility of this administration. Look, I think it may fall short of any kind of criminal wrongdoing or something further, as your previous two guests were talking about. But the problem is the denials of a meeting in the first place, and then telling everyone it was about Russian adoption, and then explaining away every other version of the truth until we've seen these emails. It's insulting to the American people, and the fact that we continue to get misleading statements from the administration chips away at their credibility. And what we're seeing now is the outright new information. The E in these emails stands for evidence, and it will be used in Mueller's investigation. And for him to continue to say, and the administration continue to say, there's a big nothing burger, these emails put a little meat on the bones of that burger.
Can I ask you something, Alice, before,
Sure.
because we're short on time? So I know you have lots of contacts with the Trump folks and with Republicans in Washington. What are you hearing from? What are they telling you?
They continue to say that there's nothing there, and they continue to say that the meeting was one that now shouldn't have happened.
But what about lawmakers, in Washington?
They want to let the investigation play out. They want to see where the facts lead. They don't want to jump to conclusions. This is concerning, though. It does make it difficult for them to work together with the administration when they have all of these distractions in order to get legislative accomplishments done. We're still waiting for some progress on health care, but this is nothing more than a huge distraction for Republicans, and it does make it difficult to work.
I want to ask about the Vice President Pence released a statement saying that the President is working every day to advance the President's agenda. The Vice President is working every day to advance the President's agenda, which is what the American people sent us here to do. And then it goes on. You can read it off the screen. What does this tell you about that even the Vice President is sort of distancing himself from this, Scott?
Well, it's similar to the posture they took on Flynn. You know, they were angry about some of the things they learned after the fact about Flynn. And so I think at several turns, the Vice President's office has sought to distance himself from some of these drips. Yeah. That's probably politically smart for him in the long run. Maybe doesn't lead to harmony inside the West Wing.
All right, Evan, what do you say to that?
Yeah, I think that's true, but I think it's also smart for the broader team, so that if Pence has a little separation, then they can use him to advance policy initiatives and whatnot, and that can sort of keep the boat afloat in some way. So I see it that way as well.
Thank you all. I appreciate it. That's it for us tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you right back here.